I can only assume that was another one off the bucket list for Sid. He did the trope. He did the Dragon Ball Z trope of dropping the weights off the arms. I got a kick out of the fact, like, oh, it's time. Finally, I could do it. I get to do it. I finally get to do it. He was just stupid excited. That was one of the few times that one of those little Sid background character overpowered things, it got me, I'll admit. But I don't know. I don't know if it outweighs the kind of the stain that this episode had. Sorry to all the Eminence and Shadow fans out there. I know it makes them mad when I criticize the show, but the sideline commentary, I don't know. It kind of worked with the last tournament. Kind of the goddess trial wasn't really a tournament, but this one, it did not work. I mean, I got a huge kick out of Anna Rose. Like, Anna Rose, after everything kind of transpired, was hilarious because that was the build up to her going, oh, I can do it too. And she cricks her neck and it's like, okay, whatever. And yes, her technically cricking her neck and sneezing over and over again and then getting embarrassed by the group. But just her conversation with that other guy, the entire fight, having to explain what happens every time, it's like, it probably works in the light novel, but it doesn't work. This is one of those pure examples of you can't one-for-one adapt a light novel, because that was just, it was too much. We seen what Sid did as Mundane Man. We didn't need to be told what he did do, or you guys trying to figure out what happened. It's not funny. It's just really annoying. Anyways, yeah, that aside, that was the only real kind of big stain. I was actually surprised to see the appearance of this Beatrix. Now, I don't know if they're implying that Beatrix, because the only other Beatrix they actually have name dropped in this series is the goddess. I don't think that's the direction they're going, but, it could be that she's named after the goddess, or it could be that she is an embodiment of the goddess. If you think about it, what we're implying is that Alpha is somehow in the bloodline of Olivier. If she's in the bloodline of Olivier, then that means that there's not that much of a distance of time here to really work with. And yes, technically elves, I mean, if we're going by the typical elves timeline here, elves typically live a long time. I'm going to assume that it's a case with this world as well. And this Beatrix that shows up in front of Sid is apparently essentially the aunt of Alpha, which would mean that she is pretty close to at least Olivier, possibly. But again, does that mean that she is literally connected directly to that whole thing? Because essentially what Rose told Sid during their travels to the Holy City was that this divine teaching, which is the most popular teaching of this world, is a faith that worships the precepts of the goddess Beatrix. This goddess basically granted the power to these legendary heroes that eventually made a name for themselves, took upon daughters, and ended up building nations. I think that was the whole story. So how long ago was that? I guess the big question mark. And would Beatrice possibly be that person, just how they told about her? Again, I think it's just going to be that she's named after Beatrix, that she's not necessarily this goddess that they're talking about. But no, opening up the episode, the trio group, which is only two now, Natsumi and Alexia are talking about Rose. Rose has fled. They're saying that she fled to the north, but we find out very quickly, yes, they're tracking her. Obviously, the Shadow Garden's tracking her just fine, and she's going through sewer systems. But specifically that Arania Kingdom wants to handle the investigation internally. They don't want these other kingdoms getting involved, specifically Midgar, which makes sense on one half, but not on the other. Typically, because she's not a diplomat, the Midgard should be prosecuting her and investigating her by their laws. But because, yes, as usual, Alexia's father does not like to get involved and rock the boat, he's letting the Arania Kingdom handle it. Which, yes, seems very quickly we're getting the idea through Iris, and she's talking to Perhashat, that something's amiss. And she doesn't like it. That this king that's with Ashat, which I'm guessing is the Oriana Kingdom's king, he looks like he's obviously mind warped or controlled somehow, because he's just sitting there drooling and staring blankly and saying, yes, do whatever Ashat wants to do. And it seems like Iris knows, because she's like super mad in that room. Like she literally almost jumps out of her seat. So obviously Ashat is doing something. He is manipulating something. He doesn't look like he's even injured at all. So there goes the theory there of what exactly happened to him. Did somebody else attack, or is somebody framing Rose? It does seem like he's framing Rose somehow. Or at least he revealed his cards, she attacked him, and he didn't really get harmed because he's got some sort of power. But it was interesting that Natsumi, or Beta, after Alexia leaves, she checks the report to where Rose is going. And she specifically notes one thing in the report, that Rose keeps touching her chest. And again, we've already seen before where she's got this infection that's going. So again, that's still leaving up there in the air what exactly is happening to Rose. But I like how she specifically says to feed Alexia clues just to keep her busy. Like, she doesn't want her getting involved in something she shouldn't. So let's just at least give her something. We don't need her getting too involved and then getting hurt. We need to keep her around. Just give her something to keep her busy. But yeah, that's pretty much all the stuff in the background. Again, and then the introduction of Beatrix to Sid, which she nearly kills him, so he has to fake that he falls over. I'm pretty sure she knows. It's kind of like similar to Claire, similar to Rose and Alexia. I think Beatrix as well is going to be one of those people that knows he's powerful. Like, he knows that he did something purposely. Even when she goes to shake his hand, she's like, I like this hand. It's proof that you're going to be something special, that you're going to get stronger. But yeah, Beatrix apparently is looking for Alpha. I'll be curious if Sid even tells Alpha. Like, per usual, we never know when Sid actually even cares about something. So would he even care to tell Alpha? Does he not want Alpha to know? Or is he just going to forget 2 minutes later? But yeah, like I said, the tournament itself was fine. It's not doing anything interesting like I was kind of hoping in the last episode. I was hoping that we'd have like some cool stories or something to at least go with each fight just to give some weight to the fights themselves. But no, it kind of is just turning into mundane man beating people in the dumbest way possible. And again, commentary about what exactly he did, because obviously we can't see what he did. But no, Goldie first, which yes, he cricks his neck to dodge it, and then Anna Rose starts to try to do that as well. And then he sneezes and knocks out Goldie, and then again, Anna Rose keeps trying to mimic it. But yeah, obviously the whole joke here is that Mundane Man looks incredibly weak and unable to do anything, but he's defeating everybody. So he's subverting the expectations that everybody in the crowd has, and yes, people are losing money over it. One other aspect in this episode I thought was really interesting was the kind of headbutting between Natsumi and Alexia. And the idea that, yes, Alexia wants to find Rose. She's afraid for her. She's like, we don't really know each other well, but we're a team now, and so I can't just abandon her. But Natsumi's like, but she didn't tell us on purpose. She fled and didn't get us involved on purpose. So Alexia thinks that Natsumi wants to abandon her, while Natsumi's like, no, look, we need to proceed carefully. Choose our path wisely. And it was interesting here because Alexia gets extremely aggressive. Like, a little bit over the top aggressive, which I thought was kind of weird. Yes, you could probably chop it up as the idea that she's very driven and very passionate about not abandoning your allies, but it felt over the top. And I could probably attribute this to Alexia not trusting Natsumi overall. Again, she believes that Natsumi's fake. I like that somebody pointed out in one of the comments in a previous video that, yes, technically Alexia hates people that hide things, essentially. People that are wearing masks. And she obviously believes that Natsumi is wearing a mask. We know she's wearing a mask because Natsumi is beta. But Alexia doesn't know that, but she knows that something's off about Natsumi. She's not just an author. And I think that's that part coming back to frustrate her about Natsumi, because Natsumi is essentially countering what she's saying, and she knows that Natsumi's saying it for a reason. But I like how it kind of ends in the idea that, yes, Natsumi acts like, oh, don't hurt me. And then the moment that Alexia goes to leave, Natsumi gets up and starts picking up the papers normally. Like, she gives up the facade that she was afraid by Alexia. And Alexia realizes that Natsumi was never afraid. Nothing phases you, does it? So it's like a very subtle way of kind of pointing out the fact that Alexia slowly over time is trying to figure out Natsumi and who Natsumi really is. So while it seems like a throwaway scene, it's sign of some really good writing there. Anyways, we'll see where it goes from here. I was kind of hoping we get to the fight between Anna Rose and Sid in this episode, but apparently it's going to be next episode. But 4 more episodes left. We'll see where it goes from here. I'll be curious if we'll run into Beatrix again, if that she'll somehow get tied to Alpha before the end of the series, or if that was just a quick tease and she's a later storyline thing. Obviously, this whole segment here is going to be more focused on who this Perv Hotshot is and what's going on with Rose, and at the same time, Sid doing his amazing Mundane Man reveal at the end. So we'll see where it goes from here, but that's my thoughts on episode 16 of Eminence and Shadow. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Do you like the commentary stuff? I mean, it just seems like a staple from long time ago. Like, it's like filler. Like, you don't bring filler back into modern anime. People would get super mad. You don't see filler anymore. The side commentary where it explains things longer than the action actually happened. It's like, do we want to bring that stuff back? Anyways, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Just if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, super thanks, and a membership button down below. Greatly appreciate everybody that does, and y'all take care.